Assalamu alaikum. Our today's lecture is for class 7 for science fact file 2. Our chapter number is 1, heating and cooling, and this lecture is from page number 3. So the topic for our today's lecture is kinetic theory. Before understanding and studying kinetic theory, we should know about the temperature and heat and the basic difference between temperature and heat. Basically, the heat and temperature are not the same things, but we are confused in both of them. Temperature is the measure of how hot or cold something is. So this is basically how hot or cold the something is. How hot or cold. But heat is basically the transfer of energy from higher temperature object to the lower temperature object. From higher to the lower. It is basically the transfer of temperature from higher to the lower object. So this was the basic difference between the temperature and heat that we should know about it. Temperature is basically measured in degrees Celsius as well as it can be measured in Fahrenheit scale, and both of them can be converted in Kelvin scale. Heat is measured in joules and kilojoules. As a solid cools, heat energy is removed. The particles will move slowly and slowly until they stop moving altogether. The temperature at which the particles stop moving is called the absolute zero, because the particle movement is started over here, and the absolute zero is the temperature at which a material has no energy. The temperature at that time is minus 273 degrees Celsius. So it indicates that the absolute zero temperature is equals to minus 273 degrees Celsius. Here we should know about the different questions that are: what is absolute zero, what is the Kelvin scale, what is temperature, what is heat, and what is the difference between temperature and heat. You should know about these questions. So now let's move toward the kinetic theory. You have learned that everything is made of particles called atoms and molecules. So the everything that is around us is basically made by the particles that are known as atoms and molecules, and they are constantly on the move. The movement of particles is affected by the temperature. So here the point which is to be understood is that how the movement of particle is get affected by the increase of temperature. When the temperature is rises, the movement will become more faster, and when the temperature will become the slower, the movement will become also slower. So the higher the temperature, the faster particles will move. This is known as the kinetic theory, in which you are made to understand about the particle movements and how the temperature and particles get affected by one and each other. When we talk about the particles and the movement of particles, you should have first the understanding of the arrangement of particle, that how the particles are arranged in solids, liquid and gases, and how their the arrangement is different in all these. In solids, the particles are closely packed. You can see the particles or the atom or the molecules of this solid atom is closely packed, and solids do not contain a lot of heat energy. Each particle move around the fixed place in the framework, and its example is ice. Here you can see the particles are present on their fixed place, but they have less heat energy. Now move toward the particle of liquids. In liquids have more heat energy than the solids. As compared to solids, it have more heat energy because the particles have the more space to move. When the particle movement is increased by the heat, so the heat energy of the particle is affected by this movement. Particles are free to move around faster and change their position can easily. because there is no fixation over here, so the particles can move freely. Example of solid was the ice, and we will take it as the same example for liquid, and we will label it as water. And for the case of gas, we will take steam as example. The substance is same, but only the states are different. In first state it is solid, and then later it state will change into liquid, and the gas is steam. Now let's just discuss about the particle arrangement of gases. As compared to solid and liquids, the gases have more spaces between the particles. The space between the particle is more as compared to liquids and solids. Gases have more heat energy because they have more space to move around. They have more space between them. Particles move very quickly and are free to move in any direction. They can move in any direction. And as I have told you before, the example is steam. So in today's lecture, we have studied about the difference of heat and temperature, the kinetic theory, and the arrangement of particles of solid, liquids, and gas. Thank you very much.